Wednesday, January 10th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I am Bob Harris. This is the Football Diehards YouTube channel. It's time to go on the hot seat. I don't know if anyone's coming tonight. I'm here, but we'll see. There's things going on this week. There's some postseason fantasy fare for all of us to get involved in. We can talk about the games. We can talk about next year's draft. We can talk about whatever the hell you want to talk about because I'm Bob Harris, and I said so. I'm in charge of this damn thing. First, I appreciate you joining me here on the Football Diehards YouTube channel every Wednesday about this time. Also do Saturdays at noon with the Ask Me Anything live streams. There won't be one this week. There will not be a Saturday live stream. And there are going to be some changes here on the channel. I mean, everyone kind of has figured out what's going on here. But first, let me just get the business out of the way because there's business. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done that, because things are going to go on here. I mean, even if they're ill-defined at the moment, there will be more ahead. I know this weekend, Eric and Jamie had to sit out last week because Eric came down with a little bit of an illness. But this week, it sounds like he and Jamie are on track. They'll talk you through all the super wild card weekend DFS action, which you should be playing. There's DFS. There is postseason tournament. There are postseason contests. I'll talk about some of those. If you have questions about the strategies or the types and what's available, we'll get those out there for you. In case you're just like going, what's going on with all the Football Diehards website? So there is news about that today, and there will be news about that in the future. That's not for me to discuss right here, right now, but do watch out for it. Hi, Mark. Thanks for coming. Roy Slade, my man. How are you? Exciting weekend. Spent most of the hospital. Oh, no. Hope everything's okay. Do tell, John. Oh, okay. Go to the next one. All okay. That's good news. Campers, go in. Thoughts with you, John. Let us know if everything goes okay. Andrea, nice to see you. Albert, thanks for coming. Dame, hey. All my friends in the house. I don't know. You guys playing any postseason fare? Are you going to jump into the things? If you are, let me just start with this, a little promotional thing. Everyone knows what's going on. Football Diehards, the website, currently down, but there will be news on that going forward. I will not be a part of it, but there will be news going forward. Emil will not be a part of it. Emil Cadlick, in case you are just tuning in, I know most of you have heard this, so or at least everyone in the chat. But Emil is dealing with pancreatic cancer and undergoing chemotherapy. He's having to step away, so we're both moving on. I will be at Footballguys, the website, footballguys.com. Working with a great crew of people there, and a lot of stuff going on, and sorting out my role going forward, and what will be ahead for me personally. But there will be news for the site ahead. There are the Football Diehards YouTube channel. I'm going to keep using it. So is Eric. So is Jamie. We're going to stick around. I have some specific plans that I'd like to do. We'll see how that plan pans out. I will be sharing those plans. But a lot of it will be kind of the things I like to do, which is highlighting up and coming people in the industry and giving them a platform to maybe show off what they can do and maybe get them a little more visibility. It's something I love doing. Been doing it with the radio show. Would love to do it here. So that's something we're working on going forward. For now, though, there's still football. So if you have questions about anything football related, look, there are coaching changes. I'm told I have a good authority. The Seahawks now need a coach. So let's go. Seahawks, Commanders, Chargers, Raiders, Panthers, Falcons, Titans. If you want me to do it again slowly, I will. Or if not, I think everyone knows. I think the surprise today, real shocking news. Pete Carroll out. He's going to stick around with the team, but and I don't know if you watched his press conference. I watched all of it. Very emotional. I wonder if he's really done. So he's done basically as Seattle's head coach for sure. But is he done as a head coach? I don't know. I have questions about that. Hey, John, longtime subscriber to Football Guys. My connection to Football Guys goes back to the beginnings, to before the beginnings. Joe Bryant's first article published by Emil and myself in the Pro Forecast eventually became kind of the value-based drafting became how we rank players. If you see the X values in the Pro Forecast, that's where that came from. So, and David Dodds and I spent many hours on the phone trying to come up with, in the early days or mid-90s of the World Wide Web, coming up with ways to extend and leverage our knowledge of those technologies to better deliver information and create tools. And David Dodds was a whiz-bang dude at that. Joe's whiz-bang dude at the business end of things. Now it's Joe and a great cast of characters that I love working with. We'll talk about their postseason football guys, our postseason contest. Look at me go. Which is really cool. It's something I haven't seen before until I signed up with them. It's a Hold'em contest. But first, there's a great contest out there. Matt Donnelly, go to @MattDonnellyFF on your X device. And $25 entry. All the money goes to Emil's GoFundMe. We've got a bunch of people in there. And a bunch of big name people who are playing that you can compete against. Me, well, I'm not a big name, but I am Bob Harris. Gary Davenport, the great Jules McLean. If you don't know Jewel, @Red Rider on X, she is a phenomenal high stakes player. Joel Cox is in there. The great Jody Smith, one of the top rankers in the industry. My good friend Lindsay Rhodes, who you saw on this live stream at one point this year. Jamie Eisenberg from CBS. Matt Harmon, Jim Coventry, Matt Harmon from Yahoo, Jim Coventry from RotoWire. Jennifer Eakins has jumped in. Howard Bender, many, many more. So, and some great prizes. Football Guys. Harmon is going to give away a reception perception subscription. Fantasy Guru site, Jeff Mans has kicked in. Fantasy Points, John Hansen and Joe Dolan have kicked in. Rotoballer, man, I love those guys. Fantasy Alarm has kicked in. Dynasty Vipers, of course. And also, the great Scott Fish will be giving away a Scott Fish Bowl 14 entry as part of this whole thing. Hey, Steve, how are you doing? Appreciate you coming. So a lot going on there. It's $25 entry, and this is like the standard kind of tournament I've played in. We're doing one that's serious. We do it with the host. It's a one and done type style tournament where basically you need to figure out what's going on with the, you have to kind of determine your playoff outcomes to determine which teams are going to have the most games and when you want to play players. Like if you think teams are going to get knocked out early, maybe you want to play them early. And there's some other strategies that are pretty obvious, but maybe if you're just getting in, you don't think about them right away. Like on the onesie positions, tight ends and quarterbacks. Pick a division, stick with it. So at the end of the thing, you have a quarterback in the Super Bowl. So things like that. But Matt Donnelly's tournament looks like a good time. Pretty good field in there. The Football Guys one is interesting. It's called Hold'em. So this is a $50,000 grand prize, by the way. So $50 entry. It's a Hold'em style, and I haven't seen this before. It's with the NFFC, and you pick your players. There's no draft, no salary cap. Pick whoever the hell you want. 12 players before the wild card round, with only one player from each playoff team. After each round of playoff games, the roster limits per playoff team will adjust, and you'll have the option to hold the player or move them off your roster. Get a scoring multiplier for the players who have been on your team the longest. It's an interesting thing. So check that out at Football Guys. Go to their Twitter @FootballGuys and learn more there. It looks like a really good time. And there's probably some really good strategies there that I will need to learn about to get along. And so I guess, as we sit here looking at the thing, hey, Jeff, how are you? Good to see you. Appreciate you, man. Let me say hi to everyone. Yeehaw. Appreciate everyone coming again. I know it's like, I knew there would be less people. I didn't know if anyone would even show up. I knew some of you would show up because I don't know what I would do without you. But that aside, it's not a season. We're just going to sit here and shoot the breeze, talk a little bit about, things that you want to talk about. If there are questions you have about football diehards, what's going on there, questions about Emil, questions about me and my future, questions about the Super Wildcard Week. That's probably going to be my primary focus here. Questions about the coaching changes that are going on, my takes on that. Mike Clay just put out his big free agent list, so we know who the free agents are going to be. Have it all in one convenient thing. We can kind of assess some of those if you'd like. So the topics are yours. And if you don't have anything specific, I'm probably going to dive into the Super Wildcard Week. Super. It's super because everything is super, right? Also, big news in the Pat McAfee world. Sounds like there will be no more Aaron Rodgers this year. I don't know. What do you guys think about all that? Put that in the comments. Does that interest you? It seems like people get really caught up in and by people, I mean Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk. Cannot let it go, man. Good Lord, people. Is it that big a deal? Is Aaron Rodgers that big a deal that we need to hang on his every word? I don't know. I'm not a big Pat McAfee watcher or listener. I do it on Tuesdays in the season because there might be news with Aaron Rodgers. I know my friend Lisa Ann loves it. She's a big McAfee fan, and I get it. I mean, it looks like a super fun show. I just don't have time to consume that kind of, I'm consuming other things at that point. So interesting stuff there. CeeDee Lamb, Mark Spafford. CeeDee Lamb only caught 4 passes in 4 of his first 5 games. Do the adjustments McCarthy and Dax made go into next year if Dallas drafts a workhorse RB? Or if they sign a workhorse RB? And if we're saying signing one, who would that someone be? Who might they sign? Well, I mean, I think the names at the top of the list is interesting because we had a little bit of this conversation on the Football Diehards radio program, Mike Dempsey and myself. The top of the list, per Mike Clay, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, DeAndre Swift, Tony Pollard, probably not back in Dallas, Antonio Gibson, J.K. Dobbins, Ezekiel Elliott, possible, Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, seems like some teams will be interested in him, A.J. Dillon. And then we get that kind of down to the Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Gus Edwards, Damian Harris, Kareem Hunt, Deontay Foreman, maybe an interesting name. So I think it depends. I think there's enough free agents out there they could land one and come in. And no, when it comes so a little comment on the complicated fella, Aaron Rodgers is very complicated. I don't know. I don't care what he is, right? I mean, everyone gets to be whatever they want to be. I can sit here and like get all excited about it, or I can move on and do things that are more productive. There will be no more Aaron Rodgers this season because the season's over. This scampers and I mind lock. The 4th season of the Aaron Rodgers portion of the programming is over. The season's over. That was my first thought. Like, it's like, how gone is he? Is he gone just for this year? I mean, by the way, Aaron Rodgers earns, like, I believe, in the $1 million range from those appearances, right? I believe it is a 7-figure, maybe a 6-figure, but certainly 6 figures, if not 7. So interesting. But I think that's the whole idea. That's why, because everyone makes a big deal out of it. I mean, honestly, Mike Florio gets caught up in some stuff that, I mean, like it's a personal thing for him, right? At Pro Football Talk. Personal. Aaron Rodgers doesn't love him enough. I don't know. There's something hurt him somehow, not respected his work. I don't know. But Florio gets like that. So, I mean, he has axes to grind, and that's fine. Not my axe. I want Aaron Rodgers on the field and not on the Pat McAfee show because I think he'll make the pieces I want to invest in for the New York Jets better. Back to the Dallas thing. So I think CeeDee Lamb, to me, just eyeball-wise lately, right, watching him, what does it remind me of? What are the crossers over the middle of the field where there's a defender trailing him by about 4 yards, right? They get him lined up against linebackers, total mismatches, and he just dominates. It looks unstoppable to me. Reminds me of Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers back working under Mike McCarthy. And let's think about this for a second. Mike McCarthy left Green Bay under a shroud of, he phoned it in. He didn't care anymore. Aaron Rodgers was running the show kind of discussion. And it's maybe true. He's not there anymore. He is in the I've got something to prove mode. And I think his offense is demonstrating it. And I've mentioned this many times because it sticks in my head. Dak Prescott, Thanksgiving Day, after a phenomenal performance, munching on his turkey leg, telling you, me, and the rest of America that he's never been more comfortable in an offense. So kudos to Mike McCarthy for getting that all dialed up, right? But also having some pieces. This Dak CeeDee Lamb connection is a real thing. Think back to the days in Green Bay where they were in the red zone, right? And Davante Adams would do those little bubble screens. Just take a step back, pass, boom, he makes a play, and it's a touchdown, especially if they're inside the 5. I mean, there was a time he was the best goal line back in the NFL, right? What was his 17 touchdown season, I want to say? I should look that up before somebody calls BS on me. There was one year where it just seemed like he was literally the best goal line back in football. And this is a different area of the field that CeeDee Lamb dominates, but he's equally dominant over the middle of the field. And to me, that's a big deal. I'm looking it up, people. I'm looking it up. Pro Football Reference is making me look at other things. Here we go. 2020, 18 touchdowns. 2018, 13. 2017, 10. Double digits. He missed some games in 2019. 2021, 11 touchdowns. He had 14 last year. But I think you get the point. For me, it just seemed like that connection was unbeatable. And I feel like we're in the same boat with CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott, where they just have, they're linked up. The mismatches are hard to overcome for opposing defenses. I'm sure they'll work on them, right? I mean, opposing defensive coordinators work year round. They're studying film. They're working on this. They'll come up with ways, and they will have, there will be teams that have come up with ways to slow him down or limit him. But right now, I watch him play right now. I don't see anyone stopping CeeDee Lamb on those crossers over the middle when they run him out the slot. He's just like unbeatable. So I do think, maybe a stronger rushing attack, which I don't think they have right now, Mark, could make that a little even more dangerous, right? If you have a decent threat, and I think any of those backs I mentioned, think about a Josh Jacobs or Derrick Henry. Although my friend Matt Waldman, do you ever watch our podcast or check our podcast out? We do every Monday. It has an obscene name that I won't feel it or F it. We talked a little bit about some of the running backs this week, and where Derrick Henry ends up. Matt Waldman would love to see him in Baltimore, and I think that would be a good fit for Derrick Henry. Maybe he stays in Tennessee after Mike Vrabel is gone. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But wherever he lands, I mean, it could be if he landed in Dallas, that would be a great spot. Great offensive line if it stays healthy. A lot to like there. Philadelphia, great offensive line. A lot to like there. Baltimore also a lot to like there. But think about Josh Jacobs or a younger power back in this offense. So what went wrong with Tony Pollard? I have some thoughts on this that I've shared on this live stream before, but I think it's bears repeating. Is we think back to last year when the Cowboys told us we just don't think Tony Pollard is as good a player when he's used heavily, right? I don't think it was like overuse that got him, but I mean the way he was used. He's a player that's best in space. And as my buddy Michael Gelkin did a nice little study about, him hitting his high end speed and how much more often that happened last year than this year. It just seems like the usage he's not well suited for. So could they go after an AJ Dillon type that between the tackles monster? But I think the first thing to me is Tony Pollard's not going to stick around. They're not going to pay him. And that's going to be the big question of the offseason, the running back market. How much are people paying? Where are you better off? Better off staying at home or taking a lesser deal like Austin Eckler did, maybe a more incentive-based deal to try and stick around. Didn't work out great for Austin Eckler this year. What's Austin Eckler going to do next year? Maybe just talk about fantasy football? That would be great. I would love that. He's really smart dude, like on point, knows what he's doing. I think he will continue playing. But we look at some of those other free agents. I mean, man, hey, Wendy, how we doing today? Hey. I do think this offense looks like it's playing at a super high level. And I think CD to Dak, I think that's been in a bit of an evolution, obviously, and it's gotten better as the seasons wore on. I don't think that goes away over the summer, but I do think we have to acknowledge that other teams are going to be looking for ways to make that not work so well. Can they? I don't know. Not based on what I'm seeing right now. Not at all. So great season for all involved in Dallas there, except Tony Pollard. Okay, Brandon Cooks was coming on and giving you a little something. Jake Ferguson looks like a rising talent that can get a little something done. So I'm kind of into it. I'm kind of into the Dallas offense. I think I'll be paying heavy prices for those receiving assets, but not as much as the quarterback position. John wants to know how I think Nico Collins and CJ Stroud will perform versus Cleveland. Will Cleveland try and take him out as the only weapon they have? Well, we'll see. Noah Brown not practicing, so it may be a little easier. Maybe a Dalton Schultz type game. Cleveland has been susceptible to that position a little bit, and they're susceptible to the run as well. Let's take a quick look at that game and see what kind of the assets we like here Saturday. It's interesting. It's in Houston. Browns are 2.5-point favorites. The total there is 44.5 points. So like that, trustworthy pieces. I mean, we can look back to the last game. I mean, Joe Flacco, I'm fine playing him. Amari Cooper, yes, big game there. So probably be fine playing him. After that, I mean, I could play Dalton Schultz. David Njoku in that game is going to be a must play. So Flacco, Cooper, and Njoku are locked in solid plays, whatever the format is you are playing. I think Cleveland wins this game. I'm taking the favorite there. I have all my playoffs plotted out because I do it for the tournament. That's one of the things in playing in a postseason tournament. You need to plot out what you expect the outcomes are, so you have a really good idea of how many games these players going to play and which players you need to get out of the way earlier as compared to later. I would share that with you. No Stroud in their previous meeting. That is true. A lot of Flacco and Cooper though. So and I think Stroud's a great play. I think Nico Collins is a great play. Dalton Schultz is playable. Devin Singletary playable, just like Jerome Ford. Probably don't want to get Kareem Hunt. I suppose is playable. But I think it's exactly the same game. No, for the reason Scamper says. No, there was no Stroud. CJ Stroud came back, looked great. The Cleveland defense has been good, but they've been great mostly, but not as good at home or on the road as they are at home. So that's interesting. But if they can get some pressure on Stroud, that'll cause some issues. But nothing that would keep me from not playing Nico Collins or Stroud. Like if that was my, that I just like to look at my rankings to start out the week. Just bring them up here real quick. Let's get into the quarterback. I have to bring up all my rankings. Yeah, I think for this week, Flacco and Stroud are like consecutive picks. I have Flacco one ahead of CJ Stroud. So they're both super reasonably good plays. I'm curious. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that you could, I mean, like there's a comment here, taking out. I think the comment from John Fusick was trying to take out Nico Collins. Maybe like he looks like he's pretty hard to take out. I love that opening play last week so it made sense. I thought they would beat the hell out of the cover 3, and they did. Very first play, just run past the guy. And when you Nico Collins, you can just run past guys. That goes a long way to setting some things up. So could have some similar big plays, different kind of defense, right? I grant you that, but Nico Collins is great. Hello, great content. Thank you, Run CMC. What are my picks for this weekend? Well, I'll give you my picks for this weekend, and we'll kind of run through the rest of the games here. I'll get some other questions as well. There's some bigger picture questions which I do want to talk about. The other Saturday game. Let's see, is the Miami Dolphins at Kansas City Chiefs, which is being asked about. The weather, it's going to be very cold. Are the Miami Dolphins good in the cold? Chiefs are 4.5-point favorites. Another one where the total is like 44 points. I feel like I want it to be more, but let's face it, neither of these teams, the Chiefs, have not been scoring well. Should have all the pieces we're interested in. Isaiah Pacheco, Rashee Rice. Oh, yeah, Travis Kelce. He's pretty good. Mostly. Hasn't been as great this year. But I do think the weather's a concern there. Right? I don't know if it's going to hinder Tyreek's ability to catch passes. That seemed to be hindered enough last week, right? All by itself. So the Dolphins say they're not worried about that. He's back to the place where he came from. I would expect a big game. You would think the Miami Dolphins are going to focus on the run, and maybe the Chiefs will to a degree too. So this may be a lower scoring affair than we like to see. And the cold is going to be a factor. It's going to be icy cold. There's going to be a huge chill wind big chill factor there. So I'd be watching that. The Dolphins are historically horrible in the cold, so that's something to watch. Anything that would keep me from playing the primary pieces. Mostert playing. Achane probably playing, depending on my options and depending on. I think Raheem Mostert will play. Tyreek Hill playing. Jalen Waddle, if he plays, playing. Tua would rather not play. Durham Smythe would rather not play. On the other side of the ball, Isaiah Pacheco, I'm playing. Rashee Rice, I'm probably playing. Travis Kelce, I'm playing. Patrick Mahomes, I'm hoping I have better options in the icy cold. I do think that for me, this seems like I'm picking an upset here. I'm picking Miami over Kansas City. The Kansas City offense hasn't been great. This just in. Miami's offense hasn't been great either. This may be a super disappointing game. I'm also picking Cleveland over Houston. So that's where the starting point is on Saturday. And yes, so to answer the question, I think it will be. I would agree with that. We'll get to the bigger picture questions here. I like getting those. I want to talk about some of those. Keep them coming, and I will get to all of those over the course of the hour. I mean, set those aside because I do want to get to them. I love those kind of questions. The lessons learned. We're still early days, but I think they merit our attention. It's good to get start solidifying your thoughts, or just like the season is an evolution. My views of the off season tend to be an evolution. So I get that starting point, and then I work from there. And I feel like it's a really good way to do things. The remainder of the games, right? Let's just run through them real quick and get them out of the way. The Steelers at Buffalo. Buffalo 10-point favorites in Buffalo. The over under is super low, 36 points. The lowest on the slate, I think, for the entire weekend. I want to say yes. So and a lot of it is obviously expected to be Buffalo. We'll see what the Steelers can do. Mason Rudolph will get the start again. I don't need to play Mason Rudolph. I don't need to play George Pickens. I could play Deontay Johnson, I suppose. Don't need to play Pat Fryermuth in this game, although the matchup is not horrible for him. Obviously, both running backs are in play. Buffalo, pretty much everyone's in play. Gabe Davis seems unlikely to play in this game, but I could play Stephon Diggs. Obviously, Josh Allen going to be top of the ranks at quarterback, as you would expect. James Cook. I mean, I think that's one of the things we want to talk about for next year when we start talking about next year is what the hell are we going to do with James Cook? Is he a running back one? I think it's possible. I think it's possible. I do have an opinion about this. We will discuss. Is it Peacock or Paramount? I don't really. I hope it's Paramount because I don't get Peacock and I'm not paying. Um, and it is going to snow in Buffalo on Sunday. I think we'll see how bad that gets, but definitely playing all the Bills. And I'm picking the Bills to win that game pretty handily. So, and I'll run you through my game totals for if you're playing in tournaments as well. Green Bay Packers at Dallas Cowboys. Dallas 7.5-point favorite. Nice implied total here. 50.5 points is the over under. Interesting game. Obviously, the Mike McCarthy playing his former team. He's not addressing that. That's great. Green Bay Packers playing Aaron Jones. Look, I could play Jordan Love. I could play Aaron Jones. I play whichever receivers are up and running. Maybe all of them this week. Dontavian Wicks is turning into a thing. People don't think he's not. Jaden Reed is a thing. Romeo Dubs less a thing. Christian Watson, we'll see if he can get on the field. Tucker Kraft is turned into the tight end to have. Luke Musgrave is back, but Kraft seems to have established himself on the other side. And like I could play any of those. I could if I was in a tournament and I am or a contest where I think Dallas is going to win this game. So I'm going to play a lot of Packers, and I think I'm comfortable with most all the both those young receivers, both the rookies. I'm comfortable with Wicks, especially if there's no Christian Watson. But even if there is, he's kind of emerged as a play. That's a little riskier play. I think Jaden Reed is a super safe play. And I think Kraft is a reasonable play. And so is Jordan Love because they're going to need to score some points and the total is high. For the Cowboys, I'm probably going to be holding a lot of Cowboys because I think they're going to be playing more games. And I might want to use them a little later. But obviously, Dak Prescott, the Green Bay defense, not great. Better last couple games, but not great. So Prescott probably all in on CeeDee Lamb. Obviously, he's probably the top ranked player this week on the board. Overall, could be playing Brandon Cooks. Probably not digging any deeper than that. Do like Jake Ferguson. We'll be playing him if I need to. So happy to do that. And obviously, Dak is fine. The Los Angeles Rams at the Detroit Lions. Detroit 3-point favorites. 51-point total. 51.5 is what I got. I'm sure Scampers and Dame have some views here. What do we got? Who's this is an interesting game for all the obvious reasons, right? We're looking for the revenge game for Jared Goff of Matthew Stafford going back to the place he came from. And so that'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I do look, the Rams are 7-1 over the last 8 weeks. They're playing lights out, right? And there's a lot to like. It's mostly based on their offense. So can they put up enough defense to stop Detroit? I don't know. Can Detroit put up enough? Detroit's really tough against the run, much less so against the pass, as we all have seen. So I am picking Detroit in this game. So we'll see how that goes. I think this is the closest one to me. Rams should definitely win that game. I think so too, but the Rams they could definitely, absolutely could definitely. I've got the Lions, but would I be shocked if it went the other way? No. Jared Goff got to have a big chip on his shoulder. He's mentioned as much. I mean, basically went in and had a horrible Super Bowl, and they just bailed on him the next day. Right? You could tell him the post game comments where that was going. It is seriously suspect. It is true. And the Rams defense, overall suspect. Aaron Donald can still make some plays, though. I mean, it should be overlooked. But I do think this is a high scoring game. I'm going to give the slight edge to Detroit uh, in what will be again a high scoring game. I'm thinking they can limit Kyron Williams a bit and rely more on the pass and maybe get a little pressure on Stafford. That would be, but hopefully not too much because I like points. They make me very happy. So it is Paramount. I might get Paramount. We'll talk about that in a minute. We'll talk about the whole making people buy extra stuff. Or is it? I don't know which it is. Peacock or Paramount. I should look before I say anything. Let me look. Let me look. Let me look and see. I know Andrea thinks she has it. She may well. Let's see. It's saying showing CBS for me. I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. I don't care for this though. We'll talk about it. It's like an old man problem though. I thought it was Peacock, Royal Slade. That's what I thought. I thought that was they did the same thing, with the game, except they kept it on NBC as well. But they were telling us what was going. They were foreshadowing a little bit. Or no, they did end up doing that on Peacock. I'm not buying extra channels. To hell with them, man. I have enough channels. Like I'm I'm not like cheap in real life. I'm like pretty much I'll pay whatever to do whatever. I'm cheap in drafts though. Incredibly cheap. So Miami and KC are on Peacock. Okay. There we go. That makes sense. So yeah, because I see the Bills on CBS, and so let me just double check that one. Thank you everybody for jumping in there. Oh, that's Saturday night on. Yeah, that's what it is. It's Peacock on Saturday night. Ah, yes, I'm going to be in Vegas Saturday night watching that one, so shouldn't be a problem for me to get it there. Yes, everyone is on. Thank you, everyone. I've crowdsourced this one. Well done, crowd. The best crowds. I mean, uh, totally the best crowd. I'm not. Yeah, we're gonna talk. Let me get through the games. We'll talk about this. But I am picking again Detroit in that game. So we'll look at then. What do we got? Oh, that leaves us with the Eagles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Eagles 3-point favorites in Tampa. Um, I'm not sure why they would be. 43 and a half points is what we expect. What Vegas expects the scoring to be. I'm picking the Eagles. I don't. I don't have a great. No, that is what we were talking about. That's totally what we were talking about. Uh, for sure. Well, that's exactly what we were talking about. So Philadelphia, I'm picking Philadelphia. At some point, you feel like there's going to be a little bit of course correction, but we've got injuries and issues. That one might be closer than we think. Steve, run CNC. What is what is the story with the guitar you have back there? Oh, look, there's two of them. Those are my guitars, which I am known to play on a regular, semi-regular basis in the off season. I'm a drummer who plays guitar because I can't play the drums as easily in my house because they're very loud, and the guitars can be less loud, but still sound pretty aggressive. So that's the story. Run CMC. Yeah, you're damn right. There's two of them, buddy. Love them both. They're a lot of good times with that. So there you have it. So there's my game. So just to run you through real quickly, I have the Buffalo Bills over Pittsburgh. I have Miami over Kansas City. I have Cleveland over Houston. I have Dallas over Green Bay, Detroit over the Rams, and Philadelphia over Tampa Bay. I have plotted out every week. We can go through it all. But here's the thing: if you're playing in contests, I like Baltimore to play 3 games. So I have Baltimore and San Francisco going to the Super Bowl. So those teams playing 3 games. I have Buffalo playing 3 games. I have Cleveland playing 2, Dallas playing 3. So I have Baltimore and Buffalo, San Francisco, and Dallas making it to the conference championships, with San Francisco and Baltimore making it to the end. The divisional round: Baltimore over Miami, Buffalo over Cleveland, San Francisco over Philadelphia, Dallas over Detroit. So Baltimore 3, Buffalo 3, Cleveland 2, Dallas 3, Detroit 2, Green Bay 1. Sorry, Packers. Houston 1. Womp womp. Rams 1. Kansas City 1. Miami 2, Philadelphia 2, Pittsburgh 1, San Francisco 3, Tampa Bay 1. So if you want to, if you're jumping into tournament play, the kind of contest, again, at Matt Donnelly FF for a great postseason tournament. If you're not in one, jump in that one. It's a $25 entry fee, great prizes. The pot goes to Emo Catholic's GoFundMe. To help him feel a little better about where his family's at heading into the future. All right. So there's a bunch of questions here I want to get to. Philly would play Dallas in round 2. I don't think so. It's the seeding. So it would be Dallas, and it would be Philly would play San Francisco the way I have it coming out, right? Because it's the highest seed against the lowest seed. Philadelphia's the 5, San Francisco's the 1. Dallas would be playing Detroit because they're the 2 and Detroit's the 3. If that's so, no, I don't have. I have it not like that. Philly would not play Dallas. It's the highest seed versus the lowest seed. Maybe you should just do a show where you play the guitars and the drums. You would be up for that. I would be up for that too. I don't know if YouTube would be up for that. Maybe we'll work that out at some point. Royal Slade. Now you're just bragging, man. Now you're just bragging. TSN and Dazen for all games. I will not be live streaming from Vegas because I'm told what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So hopefully there will be none of that. Let's talk a little bit about the issues that the Peacock, the streaming. Who in here is buying it? Who's buying the extra channel? I mean, that's the question. I'm not. I mean, like, it's so funny. I feel like it's like an old man thing. I feel like right now I'm just being totally an old man because, like, I'm only cheap when it comes to fantasy football drafts. Then I'm the cheapest skate you know. But in real life, I have no problem spending. I mean, I don't do a lot. I don't drive around. I don't go out a lot. I have nothing to spend my money on. I want to spend it on fun stuff like this. But there's and like part of it is this. Here's my issue. You chime in, see what you think. By the way, I'm Bob Harris. If you just tuned in, what the hell is he talking about? Guitars and other nonsense and little games mixed in. I'm Bob Harris. I'm with Footballguys. Previously with Football Diehards, I'm in the Fantasy Sports Writing Hall of Fame. It says so on the plaque right behind me. Yeah. I was the first ever Fantasy Sports Writer of the Year. Who knew? I don't know. And I've been with the Fantasy Sports Publications and the Football Diehards Company for 30 years, and that's coming to an end. So I'm going to Footballguys, where I tend to spend the next 30 years. I'm not done, people. I got a lot left. I'm gonna get busy. So, but what happens is when you get, my problem is I get like something like this, and then I have it forever. Like get a streaming channel. Like I know I have streaming channels that I've never watched, like the Max and all that stuff. Like, in the season, I don't watch anything but football and football. That's where we're at, man. So why I have all these streaming things and what am I doing with them? I feel like I'm getting snookered. And I feel like also the NFL probably is making enough money. They could probably play these games on TV. I know it's like I'm dragging and kicking my, a little bit. The future's coming and there's nothing I can do about it. But in this case, I want to play a small role in that. Where are we at on that, people? Andrea's not buying. No way. John Fusek is not. As I said earlier, 69. I refuse to pay it. Obviously could afford it. Exactly. Ricky. Hey, Ricky, how you doing, man? Well, the son has streaming account, so he's buying for it. Fair enough. No way. No extra streaming services for scampers. Already have it with my Roku package. Roku. Like I would have that. Like I got the Amazon. I got all these things like I have already. Like I've watched the Netflix for all football season long. I don't look at Netflix yet. Here I have it. It's just like sucking the money out of me. They don't care. Hey, I am doing great, Ricky. Thanks for stopping by. Kind of a little informal chat session here. Not the normal. We usually are more focused on like lineup questions and stuff. It's bigger picture stuff. So chime in if you have anything. The more people who buy the game, the more games the NFL will put on. Well, that's probably true. Us baby boomers are stubborn old lot. This is the best. This is the most accurate statement of the entire evening. I hope my picks are as accurate as this. Had a couple big picture questions. I want to address because they were good questions. John Fusek last year. in the FFPC. Kelsey was probably one of the top picks. I made him a top pick, and I know I landed him in one of my contests there. Not sure he will be this year. He is not. If not Kelsey, would you go with Pacheco? I think Pacheco will be going fairly high, maybe higher than he should. Maybe we should wait and see what the Chiefs do at that position. I think the tight end thing is interesting, though. I mean, the tight end premium type formats, what are we going to be doing with Kelsey? I feel like Kelsey's going to become, I don't know if he's going to be cheap enough, but he's going to be a player I'm targeting. He disappointed people. This is something I'm always looking for, right? Every year. This is what I do this time of year. I make lists of players who disappointed me, other people, players who didn't live up to their, expected output. And I try to figure out why and if it's fixable, or if I expect a similar outcome again. And then, but so I get drafted a lot of time. Like there's a lot of in this industry. Who will you never draft again? That person does not exist. I will draft every person again. The price is what matters to me, not the person, not the how they disappointed. Like and so so I'm looking for players like Travis Kelce. How far will he fall? What do you guys think? Will he fall into the third, fourth round? Is that too much? Is that not enough? Will people let him fall further? Hey, Remy, thanks for coming. Hey, thanks, CMC. I appreciate you. Good to see you. We'll be around. Like I said, I have some plans here. Think of the days, no doubt, the days of Kelsey being a first-round pick and redraft are done. And I don't think players like Sam Laporta, or that'll follow up with Steve's question. Sam Laporta, Trey McBride. Well, thinking, what are we going to think about Mark Andrews? Will be back in a really good offense. Do we think Isaiah Likely's earned a role going forward, or are we going to keep drafting Mark Andrews like we drafted him? George Kittle's going to be in that conversation. TJ Hawkinson, the injuries are going to be a little bit of an issue for him. Who's the top tight end for the fantasy season, the one you draft in a playoff contest? Who am I drafting in a playoff contest here right now? At tight end, I think the names at the top of my list, and part of this is like for thinking tournament style, right? I think David Njoku, Kittle. I think Kittle's a good one because he's going to go a little further for me. Sam Laporta, I think it'd be perfectly fine if he's healthy, but that's going to be a big concern. I think there's not a lot of super high-end guys in this postseason for me. Yes, I know Travis Kelce is playing, and he probably ranks highly, but I don't think the Chiefs are going that far. So I think if you're looking at the players that I think are going far, it's going to be George Kittle and Isaiah Likely are going to be my two favorites. And we'll see if they go that deep. Are we going to see Mark Andrews back? John Fusek, I took Mahomes and Kelsey in several of my NFC and FFPC drafts. I sucked in those drafts. Won't be doing that again next year. Well, I think that's one of the things that happened. I think, and I'll get to this, Ro, because I was going to bring that up. I don't want to get sidetracked here too much. But I do think that, one of the issues with drafting Kelsey early was there was just a natural swing was to pick up Mahomes coming around. I think a lot of people did that. I know there were drafts where I did that, and I regret it still. I think both of them are going to be cheaper, and I will probably have more shares of them next year than I had this year, just because they were both so expensive. I just think I will. I'll be taking a shot at that. Kittle is going to be a good play next year, I think. And there is hope. I think there is. I mean, they talked about this, that if they made a deep run into the playoffs, that it's possible Andrews could come back, and I think that is possible. We'll be watching for that. The best. John did the best in one and done. I won't get there. One and done. I like Njoku or Schultz. I'd like both of those in one or done because I don't think either of those teams is going to last terribly long. I have Cleveland going a little longer, but I would rather play Njoku than Schultz right now. There we go. Not if Kelsey marries Swift and retires, or what if he breaks up with her and becomes an album? I'm told that's what happens. I'm not a big Swiftie. No offense to Swifties. You're fine. Do your thing. Not my bag. I saw her on Saturday Night Live once. It was like a 10-minute song about something. Like, I love long songs. I'm a Tool fan. I'm thinking that's not too long, but man, it didn't hit the same way as some of my favorite Tool songs. That's all I'm saying. Wasn't my lane. Very talented. Like, look, I can listen to someone, I can listen to anyone who does something really good. I can listen, I can watch, I can read. If someone does something really good, I'm all about that. I talked about this on the last live stream. I saw the Willie Nelson on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing. That dude is an amazing guitar player, man. I could listen to that all night because he's really good at it. And I love that kind of thing. And I do think what she does is very good. I think on the list of things that I love, pop music is probably not high on that list, but she does that very good. And I think many years ago I saw her, I want to say with Def Leppard or was it Aerosmith? She did like a whole like show uh where I had never heard of her before. I don't know how it looked like she was about 10 years old. I didn't know who the hell she was. And it was very good. And I thought, man, I think she was a country person back then. I don't know. I can't keep up with all this stuff. There was another question here that I thought was really good. Biggest lesson this year, the number two receiver is not necessarily the next man up, says the Jefferson drafter. This is a fact. There is no doubt about that. I had shares of Van Jefferson. He was very cheap, so it's not like I paid a severe price for that. I paid a severe price for drafting Cooper Kupp. Puka Nacua, turns out, was not even number two. He was the number one. So we'll be looking at rookies a little more carefully next year and opportunities. Opportunity matters. I've talked about this a lot, but there are going to be things, and I'll be addressing them going forward in live streams about like what is the right approach? What do we need to look for in drafts? How can we mitigate the risks that seems to be coming from an increasingly volatile NFL? Maybe this year, maybe we're in the moment. These are all things that we have to study and look back. It's like every year, oh, these are the worst injuries ever, until you sit back and look at them and go, oh, it's kind of like as many injuries as always. It's just all my guys got injured. And this year, I feel like has been as volatile a year as possible. Ricky thinks the cliff has arrived for Kelsey. It may have. Also, is it possible, Ricky? Is it possible? And by the way, Ricky thinks that it'll be third to fourth round. I think that's probably right, and that would be too early for me as well. Andrea, looking at McBride and Laporte, I think a lot of people will definitely in startup dynasties. Those guys are off the board. I feel like the cliff may have arrived, but also remember he missed week one, had a knee injury. Has he been right since? Do we know for sure how healthy he's been? So I mean, I am going to be watching closely, but I think you're right, Ricky. I think third to fourth will probably be a little rich for my blood. I think there are guys I feel more comfortable with, maybe even a little later than that. So I do think that's where we're at. I think the quarterbacks are going to be a whole different approach to drafting quarterbacks next year. Thank you, Patrick Mahomes, for righting the ship. JJ Zachariason can call himself late round QB again. Well, he still does, but late round fantasy, late round now. JJ can call himself whatever he wants. He's fantastic. Good guy. Good friend of mine. So I think we're going to be drafting quarterbacks later. I don't think, is there an argument to be made? Yes, that Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen return value. Yeah, kind of. Except when you look at the overall point totals, I mean, Christian McCaffrey outscored every quarterback in the NFL. Those guys were perfectly fine. The rushing touchdowns carried Jalen Hurts, and the rushing and passing TDs. I think Josh Allen to me is a locked-in guy. He was my number one going into the season on the quarterback ranks, and I think he'll be number one going again next year. Do I think I'll have a lot of shares of him? No. I'm drafting late. There are 66 quarterbacks played in the NFL this year. What the hell? I think I'll take my chances a little bit on quarterback and try and, keep the opportunity cost focused on the skill players. Not that, look, all we have to do is look at the running backs. Let's, we take a look at the rankings this year. There is no, I don't want to say there's no rhyme or reason, but it's getting tricky. And so you look at the players that won you titles this year. Who won you guys titles? Who are the players that won you titles? I'll tell you one that won me a title. There are two. It was James Conner and Justice Hill on the same team that won me a title. I mean, did we think Raheem Mostert was going to be, second? So, by the way, Christian McCaffrey, 390 total fantasy points, right? 395. Next up was Raheem Mostert at 269. This is why we draft Christian McCaffrey number one overall, people. This is why I do. This is why, if you're not drafting, and you can make an argument for wide receivers all day long, right? And you can make the case that Christian McCaffrey is scary because he gets hurt. Okay, so does everybody. But you look at the running back ranks this year. Christian McCaffrey won overall. Raheem Mostert, no one had him there. He was a double-digit round, 9th, 10th round. Travis Etienne came in 3rd. No one was drafting him like that. Breece Hall coming off a torn ACL. No one was drafting him to be 4th. Rashad White, he was a 6th, 7th round pick. Kyron Williams, probably a free agent pickup. Joe Mixon at 7, went a little earlier probably than he should have. And draft Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs. Notice who I'm reading his name ahead of. Victory lap time. Should I do like a Matt Kelly, a Podfather style, running around the room and whoopsie-doo? I'm not going to do that. But I could. Jahmyr Gibbs, where were you drafting him? Well, if you were drafting with me, probably in the 2nd round, so maybe not that great. My only hope for a title left this year are the Rams. So sad. Pollard coming off a serious injury. That's possible too, right? I mean, he did hit his high speed, though. Here's the thing, Steve. He hit his high speed. He just didn't hit as often as he did last year. So I think he was capable. I think he was healthy. I just think the role doesn't suit him. I need to learn to prepare better for fantasy playoffs. My teams tend to fade down the stretch. I think this is something I did an On the Couch with Sigma Bloom. I tend to do one of those every year. I'll probably do more of those and going forward. But we always do one where we try to predict the kind of league winning players. And I think that's the goal. You've got to sit there and kind of look at and assess your roster. And who are the players that are sitting on your roster that are just keeping you from starting players with more upside? I think this is the thing, right? Safety versus upside. In a super volatile NFL, you need a good mix of both. But I think the focus needs to be a little more on upside and less on the safe plays. Ricky worried about the drops. I think so. I think that's a fair assessment. Steve Pavia. CeeDee Lamb, Lamar, and Laporta drafted round 14, won him a title. Oh, yeah. That's a great. No humble about that one. No humble about that one. But, I mean, you look at these players that, like, at every position, right? James Cook at 9. Where were we drafting James Cook? Alvin Kamara was going to miss 3 games, went way later than he should have. Bijan Robinson, 1st round. Womp, womp. Derrick Henry, 2nd round. Isaiah Pacheco, probably a pretty good value. Jerome Ford, I don't know. He was going pretty damn late. Tony Pollard going pretty damn early. I'm at 15. 16, Saquon Barkley, 1st, 2nd round. DeAndre Swift, 17. He did better than I thought, I'll be honest with you. I'll let you know when I get to Miles Sanders, which maybe never. Look at the wide receivers who got us there. They seem to be a little more predictable, right? Every year, that feels like it. CeeDee Lamb 1, Tyreek Hill 2, Amon-Ra St. Brown, A.J. Brown, Puka Nacua. The guys a player we all probably overlooked and probably shouldn't have is Keenan Allen. And I think I will not overlook him next year. I hope people think he's old and washed up, because I'll be all over that. We'll see what the coaching staff is there. Coaching changes are going to make a difference. Coordinator changes. Apparently in Philadelphia, they have put us all on notice to watch out for coordinator changes. Detroit, Ben Johnson, one of the most sought after head coaching candidates this year. So I think that'll be something we're all watching. Oh, what a total never. As my friend Michael Fabiano says, miles from being good Sanders. I mean, it's easy. It's a cheap shot, but he should have been better. I feel like they have, honestly. I feel like they suffer daily playing for Tepper. By the way, have I touched on that? I mean, $300,000? Really? That's it? You throw a drink on your customers and you get what is Pro Football Talk? Like, if you make like an average salary, that's like $14. I don't know. I think that was a listen to the Feel It or F It podcast with me and Matt Waldman to get my true feelings on that, because I'd like to keep this less mean-spirited. That was crazy. Yes, the Panther players have suffered enough. What are we going to think about Bryce Young? Is he going to be a super value play? Will he even be drafted? Yes. What are we going to do at a quarterback next year? I mean, I'm drafting later for sure. I'm probably not drafting Bryce Young late, but do we think a rebound is possible there? I mean, they're going to have to rebuild an offensive line. They've got a lot of work to do. I don't know if they can get it all done. Is there a coach they could hire that would make you more interested in Bryce Young? How far after? I mean, CJ Stroud's going to be a top 8 quarterback next year. Hmm. Funny how things work out with players. I don't know. I was never in on Bryce Young because I don't know about I maybe put too much emphasis on size. They told me he processed quickly and that was his game. I don't think he had an opportunity to do that. So maybe we haven't seen him at the peak of his game, right? We haven't seen him be able to maximize, leverage his skills, which they say is processing quickly. I did see him throw some nice deep balls. I do like Jonathan Mingo, looks like a fine young player. I think the better outcome for me was in Green Bay, where it seemed like all the things they thought were going to happen with Jordan Love happened. Vrabel, Vrabel, their only hope. I think a lot of teams are going to think Vrabel's their only hope. Don't you? Like in Atlanta, do they think Bill Belichick's their only hope? What kind of coordinator would Bill Belichick need to bring Matt Patricia over to fix Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Drake London? I mean, you've got that assemblage of super high-end talent at every skill position. Find you a quarterback and get a coach who's willing to use them. I mean, Arthur Smith, honestly, Arthur Smith is would Vrabel bring is Arthur Smith going to be Vrabel's offensive coordinator? Vrabel to New England, I think Royal Slade has probably got this the most correct. Although they like Jared Lay. No, God, no. I think, Bob Kraft has talked up Jared Mayo, right? I mean, what do you think about that, Royal? Versus, I think Vrabel is becomes the de facto leader in the clubhouse. He has to be, right? Just installed in the Hall of Fame, super hard nosed, like a smart guy, still has the respect of players. I think that to me is the most likely. I think the question is, where does Belichick go? Right? Does he go to Atlanta? Mayo to Alabama. There you go, Royal Slay. Okay, yeah, Nick Saban calling it a career. I don't watch a lot of college football. I'm told that the Crimson Tide are really good. I wouldn't know. I haven't seen much. I don't look at the rookies until they're not rookies. Until I don't look at the college prospects until they're out of college. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but I do see a lot of talk about Nick Saban today and Pete Carroll. How about that? That was a shocker. All right, you got a couple more questions. I feel like this was a totally rambling, useless episode of On the Hot Seat. I did nothing worthwhile, but also I had a really good time because you're all almost did it. You're all awesome. So we'll be a little more focused going forward, right? I just wanted to jump in here. I won't be here Saturday. Eric and Jamie are planning to do a live stream this weekend on this channel to get you all set up for DFS. It'll be very specific, very focused, laser focused, and very helpful. Unlike this, although this was fun, I agree with you, Royal. I appreciate y'all, man. Okay, right. No Belichick in Atlanta. No. How about Los Angeles? How about those Chargers? Give Bill Belichick a good quarterback. There's no telling what he can do. I appreciate y'all. I had a good time too. It was like a very relaxed. Usually I'm hauling ass trying to answer every damn question, and today was just shooting the breeze. So hopefully we'll do a little more answering of questions. Thanks, Ricky. I appreciate you. Please do reach out. Happy to see you here. And again, this wasn't the normal thing, Ricky. So if you're more interested in the football stuff, usually do more football stuff than this. But this was just like seemed a little chill and catch up on some things, and we'll go from there. Get in the tournament. Go to Matt Donnelly at Matt Donnelly FF. Great tournament. Play against some great competitors, some of the top names in the business. Some great prizes, and you'll have a good time, and it'll be a ton of fun, and it'll help out my man Emil Cadlick. And also, there'll be news on FootballDiehards.com, the website, coming forward. Don't get your hopes up with me. I am moved on. I will be at Footballguys for the future, and for now and the future. But this channel is going to remain, and there may be some kind of rebranding that goes with this as we work our way through it. But I do have some specific plans, and I'd like to remain a presence here and remain connected to all of you, because that's been one of the best things that's happened to me all year, is this channel and having a chance to connect with people. So I appreciate you all very much, and look forward to seeing you here, not Saturday, but a week from tonight. I'll be here. Also, you can hear me on Sirius. You know that. I'm not going anywhere there. This week, the rest of this week, Thursday night, 10 to midnight. Friday night, 10 to midnight. Saturday, we're on 3 to 5. Right. So we'll be doing afternoons. I think the week after that, we're scheduled for 3 to 5, but it depends on the football schedule. So the fundraising is going well, but it could go better. I would like to have it go fantastic. I appreciate everyone's interest in that. Look, it's so super grateful for this community. You know, I've seen this fantasy community on X, Twitter, reach out and help people before. I've seen the back end of it. Now I've been on the receiving end of it, and it's been amazing. It's crazy. It's just so great, and it'll make me start crying if I think about it. So we will enjoy Super Wildcard Week. I'll be in Vegas hanging out with the Football Guys crew there and watching football and having a little fun. I'll be back then Monday for the regular Football Die Hard show. There's a Monday night game, so we'll be on from 10 till 1 a.m. Have some great guests lined up, so don't miss out on that as well. I think Kenny Carter's coming on Friday. Haven't had him on in a long time, so looking forward to that. So, hey, that's it. I'm Bob Harris. Over and out. I'll see you here next Wednesday. Jamie and Eric here this weekend. Watch for your notifications coming in your YouTube because I know you're all subscribed and you've hit the notification bell. And if you haven't, damn it, get on it. Good night.